this is TJ from tjontheroad.com. Today I'm going to do a quick demo on using the Boss SY1000 with the ASM Hydrasynth. Now the ASM Hydrasynth is particularly useful because it has what's called MPE mode, or MIDI Polyphonic Expression, and that's particularly good when you're doing guitar to MIDI applications. And I'll explain that in a little bit. So let's get started. Well, the first question you should ask is, what is MPE, or MIDI Polyphonic Expression, and why is it useful, particularly for guitar to MIDI applications? Well, MPE is a standard within the MIDI implementation, and what it's for is that it sends independent channels for each note that gets sent out. And each independent channel can have its own data associated with it, its own control data, as well as its own pitch bend data. So with MIDI guitar, what that means is that you have 6 strings that send 6 different channels on the Boss SY1000, and those individual strings can send individual pitch bend data and controller data to a synthesizer that recognizes MPE mode. Now, previously, you could do this with synthesizers that had what's called multi-timbral capabilities. In other words, you could split up the synthesizer to respond to different MIDI channels. But that was often very cumbersome to set up. If you saw a video that I did a few years ago, I did that with the Roland FA06. It took quite a bit of time to set it all up per patch. It takes, a good 15-20 minutes to get it working. And that's only for one patch. With synthesizers with MPE mode, all you really need to do is put it in MPE mode, and that's it. Before we get started with the hookups here with the Boss SY1000 and the Hydrasynth, I've got my MIDI cable right here, by the way. I want to talk to you about the fact that the Boss SY1000 really isn't an MPE compatible controller. So people are going to ask you, well, you probably need that. Well, no, actually you don't. As long as the receiving MIDI device, in the case today the Hydrasynth, is capable of receiving MPE type commands or an MPE format, you'll be okay, because the Boss SY1000 does send individual channels for each string. So you have 6 channels, 1 per string, that's going to send to the receiving synthesizer or whatever receiving device that you're using. And that means it's going to think that it is receiving in MPE mode. Let's look at the correct setups for both the SY1000 and the Hydrasynth. For the SY1000, you're going to have to set this to guitar to MIDI mode. Now, I've turned the volume all the way down, so what you're going to hear in this demonstration is only going to be the Hydrasynth. In order to get that to work, we have to go into System, and we have to go to MIDI, and we want to hit guitar to MIDI, and you'll see here it's turned off. So we want to turn that on, and we want to set the bass channel to channel 2. That's very important. The reason being is that MPE mode uses channel 1. It reserves that for some special commands, so you want to make sure that you have it on channel 2. And you may decide to also have the bend setting on thin. And what that does, that reduces the amount of pitch bend data that gets sent out via MIDI, and it reduces the clog that you may have in the bandwidth within MIDI. Because it is going to be sending 6 channels of MIDI data for each string on your guitar. Now let's go to the Hydrasynth. In order to set that up for MPE mode, well, that's pretty easy. All you need to do is hit the System Setup, come over here, page down. Here's MPE mode. It's already on, off. And that's it. That's all you need to do. Exit out of there. Well, great. Now that we have it all hooked up and set up, I've got my guitar here with the Roland GK3 pickup. You might be wondering what the blue tape is for on here. It's just to keep the volume knob in place. It seems to have a mind of its own. I should also mention you can use other hexaphonic pickup systems such as the Fishman Triple Play. Doesn't really matter as long as they send individual MIDI data per string on the guitar, and that the receiving device can receive in MPE mode. So how is this useful? Well, it's mostly useful for pitch bends, where if I want to have one string stay at the same note without any bending, and I want to have another string bend without affecting the other notes or the other strings, you can do that with MPE receiving devices. Say, for example, right now I have the Hydrasynth running with an organ sound. That low E string that I just hit comes from the Hydrasynth. It's not changing in pitch. If I want to hit another string while that low string is still running, it shouldn't affect the low E string. Now you might hear a little bit of bending on this particular guitar because it has a Floyd Rhodes system on it. But if you have a fixed bridge, you shouldn't hear any type of pitch bending on the other strings. Well, hey, that's it. Using MPE, MIDI Polyphonic Expression for MIDI guitar with devices that respond with MPE mode. We'll include in the comment section below here all the synthesizers and other devices that I know of that respond to MPE mode. And while you're down there, please do share and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Check out tjontheroad.com for more. And thank you so much for your support.